More countries than ever, from the UK and Canada to the Philippines and India, are talking about imposing wealth taxes. The U.S. state of California wanted to do so on a local level, but other states are joining them now. I'm going to talk about the advent of the local wealth tax and what you should do about it. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. This is Nomad Capitalist, where we help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you're treated best. And one of the big trends that I say every time we make an episode like this is wealth tax. It has been a trend for the last year and a half. You have political momentum for it. You have politicians like Bernie Sanders in the U.S. who talk about the struggle continues. They're ginning up the class warfare. And they're doing that because they want to impose new kinds of taxes. They don't want to just raise taxes. They want to impose new kinds of taxes. That's why we've seen more countries than I've ever seen before talking about wealth taxes. Some of them want to take 20% of your wealth in one fell swoop. You're not going to see that in almost any country, but it's being discussed. Other politicians want to take 99% of your wealth above a certain amount. Again, not going to happen, but it shows you where the fringe is, and it shows you how they can go in from there. And one of the things that's been interesting is how the U.S. state of California wanted to impose basically a retroactive wealth tax on people, including those who'd left the state. And everyone thought, oh, well, California, just don't live there. Well, how about this? How about tax-free Washington? People call, oh, Washington state, no income tax. They're imposing all kinds of new other taxes on property and I guess on capital gains now. This is from the Daily Fly in Washington. It says a state wealth tax would target the worldwide wealth of Washington billionaires. Washington state multi-billionaires would pay a wealth tax on a proposal that got a public hearing before the Senate Ways and Means Committee. Senate Bill 5426 would impose a 1% tax on the intangible financial property such as stocks and bonds, futures contracts, and publicly traded options. The first $1 billion of assessed wealth would be exempt. Well, thank goodness. Which equals 1% multiplied by a resident's taxable worldwide wealth. This is a great attempt to bring fairness to our tax structure, which is pretty upside down, with the lower income paying 17% of their income and the upper 1% paying 1% or less. Bill sponsor Senator Sam Hunt of Olympia said at the virtual hearing. His comments mirrored the bill's lengthy preamble, which makes the case for taxing the rich. It points out, in my opinion, the fact that these laws now that they're trying to create, this is not the first time I've seen this actually, where like the first part of the law is just a bunch of blathering. It's not like, hey, here's the law, we're doing this, we're doing that, okay, go do it. It's a bunch of prevarication in the bill. It is showmanship of a sort. Washington has long led the way with innovating and bold ideas that have changed the world. No. Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos have left the way, and you were lucky one of them was born there, and the other one moved there. You got lucky. The bill reads, many of the world's greatest innovators and artists, engineers and entrepreneurs and scientists and social activists have called Washington home. Perhaps not for long. Some of the most moneyed people in the world, including Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, among others, have lived here in the evergreen state. And the preamble goes on and on and on, talks about Washington's regressive tax code, and it threatens the state's status as an economic and social leader. You know these people don't understand, these politicians, is, when I was born, and I imagine most of them are at least a little bit older than I am, when I was born, you didn't have that many options. When Bill Gates co-founded Microsoft, where else would you co-found Microsoft? Now, you can argue still where else would you co-found it until you realize plenty of the companies that you interact with on a daily basis are in Europe, maybe some are in Asia, maybe even a couple are in Latin America every once in a while, but mostly Europe. They don't have to be in Washington state. And these politicians just don't get that even when you start in Amazon, okay, Amazon.com obviously is a business that's shipping stuff within the United States. It's a large consumer market. That's a little bit different scenario. Why does much of Microsoft need to be based in the United States? Why do much of any of these companies, for the most part, need to be based in the United States or Washington in particular? Look at how companies like Boeing, how they decided they've had enough. And so these politicians, it's much like Gavin Newsom in California said, where are you going to go? Gavin, it's not the Cold War anymore. There are a lot of places you can go. And while Microsoft's not going to move to Armenia's new upstart Silicon Valley, they could certainly move somewhere else. And even if they're not going to, Bill Gates could. And so the idea that Bill Gates paying billions and billions and billions of dollars in his lifetime it's so regressive because some other people are paying 17%. Is just the local example of what's happening at the federal level, which is where the federal government wants to impose a wealth tax, and then states are going to start getting in the action, and then you're going to see some of the cities that have income taxes getting in the action. You are seeing these states implying more and more and more taxes. Now you might say, well, I'm not a billionaire, right? So if Bill Gates has $100 billion or whatever he's got, 1% of 99 of it, who cares? Well, who cares if the numbers always expand? And so it shows that the issue right now is focused not on raising taxes. It's not, hey, let's have a state income tax. Or if a state already has one, hey, let's raise it. California wants to raise theirs. But what they also want to do, the big focus that I see is let's add new taxes, because they realize if their goal is to capture 99% of your income or 99% of your wealth, they can't really just come out and say 99% tax rate on income. But if you start adding up all the different taxes that you pay, and you add in a wealth tax and the opportunity cost on that, and you got to sell stuff, I mean, like plus the income, plus this, plus that, it's going to start to come out to a higher and higher percentage, and it's going to impact in some way the economy. And eventually it's going to trickle down, and it's going to affect you, because these numbers are not going to stay at billions forever. Once they implement the new tax, and the guys of, oh, it's only these billionaire jerks, eventually it'll come down, as we saw in the UK, for example. They want it on people who only have less than $1 million. And how many people have that in their home equity? How many people in Washington State have $500,000 or $1 million in home equity because their home values have gone up? And so this is just a latest indication that forget the federal level, forget the national level of countries. Local jurisdictions want to get in on imposing new taxes. And it's just the trickle-down effect of taxation that would make me concerned with new capital gains taxes, new restrictions. You see some states now trying to, in California, say, you have to get our permission to sell your property first. The number of new restrictions these local jurisdictions are originating should be particularly concerning. Are all these laws going to pass? No. But as we're seeing in just this article, a lot of people are saying, you know what happens? You look at states like Maryland, you look at states like New Jersey, people are going to leave. If you're going to leave over this tax, over the concern that Washington's becoming more expensive, it's becoming more restrictive, fewer personal freedoms, and oh, by the way, if you have money, they don't like you, don't move to Idaho. Don't move to Montana. Don't move to Texas. Why not look at moving to Puerto Rico? Why not look at moving to Panama or to Penang? The world is your oyster. If you're going to move because you're tired of the way the state is treating you, even if you don't have $1 billion, Washington State has become more aggressive on tax. The fact that there's no state income tax, doesn't necessarily, make the whole difference. Why go to another state where, look, Arizona, where I live, decided to almost double taxes on the evil rich who make more than a paltry $250,000 a year in 2020. A lot of states are going in the wrong direction. And, in the United States in particular, you've got so many different levels of government that marginal increases in taxes at any one can have a big impact. And so the disturbing trend is local jurisdictions getting in on federal tax attempts. They're expanding the base beyond just raising taxes, but adding new ones that will never go away. They will eventually come down to affect you. And by the way, you think this won't affect you? You know how many people I talk to who have businesses that make $5 million a year? In this environment, in this interest rate of inflationary environment, in this environment of cheap money up until now, where people are paying insane prices for businesses, your business that makes $5 million may well be worth $50 million, which is well within the thresholds that a law like this is going to eventually come down to apply to. It's well within the thresholds of what any country is attempting to tax on a wealth tax level. And so why wouldn't Washington eventually emulate that? You think they're only going to tax 3 guys forever? No, it's going to eventually have to be expanded because they're going to waste that money on dumb stuff. And then people are going to get used to the free money. And then they're going to have to, expand it somewhere else. And so if I were living in Washington, I would be concerned. If I were living in California, I'd be concerned. And I would use this as an opportunity, not just to move one state over and wait for them to catch up, but to go somewhere that makes a total difference, where I'm locking in my ability to keep more of my own money, not just by getting rid of a 1% tax or not by reducing my state tax, but by going somewhere where I can reduce my total tax burden to 0 or 4 or 10. That's what I would learn from this. I'd get myself out of a state that doesn't want my business and doesn't want anyone's business. Don't stop now. We've got well over 1,000 more videos here on YouTube for you to watch and learn how to go where you're treated best. And if you want to work with Nomad Capitalists personally, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply. Learn about our unique, tried and true process. Go garnered over years of experience, and learn how you can become our client.